Okay, so to create an order status in Magento, the first thing we want to do is log into the admin, and under the system menu go to order statuses. Once you're on the order statuses page, what we'll do is click create new status here. And we're going to create an order status called sent to warehouse. So for the status code, there can be no spaces, so we'll do sent, we'll use underscores for spaces, sent to warehouse. And then for the status label, we can make it something more friendly. And we'll click save status. And since we've already created that one, it tells us that it already exists. So now we need to assign it to a state. Right now the status, you can see it down here, it's been created. What we need to do is click on it and just verify. Okay, so the label's there, everything's good. So what we need to do now is click assign status to state up here in the upper right. And then we can select the order status that we created, sent to warehouse. And then we can select the order state that we want to assign that to. So this is going to be part of the order processing state. When an order first comes in, it will go to processing. And then having this sent to warehouse status in the processing state will allow the user who's processing the orders to change it to a sent to warehouse status. Order's not quite complete yet, but it assumes a new status, so that it gives an idea of what status the order has and then where it's at in the process. So I'm going to click Save Status Assignment in the upper right up here. And then now you can see that it shows up at the top here, and under the status code column it is assigned to processing. It's not the default, so when an order goes into the processing state, it's actually going to go to the processing status, and then this other sent to warehouse status will be available, and we'll show you how to change to that sent to warehouse status now. So if I go to sales and then orders, and I click on an order here that's in the processing state, I can go down to the bottom here. This isn't going to work. To create a new order status, the first thing you want to do is log into your Magento admin panel, and under System, click on Order Statuses. That'll bring us to this page that we're on here now, and we'll click Create New Status in the upper right. There are two required fields for an order status. The first one is the status code, and there can be no spaces in the status code, so typically what I do is I'll give it a name using underscores in place of the spaces. So for this particular test, we'll do a sent to warehouse status. And then for the status label, we can make it something more friendly with spaces. And then we'll click Save Status here in the upper right. And so now we see our new status shows up in the order statuses list here. There's one more step to be able to use this status. Right now it's not an active status, so we need to assign it to a state. And we're going to assign this particular status to the processing state. So what this will allow us to do is when an order is paid, it'll allow us to go in and change that order to a sent to warehouse status, just to show where that order is in the processing timeline. So we'll click assign status to state here in the upper right. And then under the order status drop down, we'll select sent to warehouse, and then for order state we're going to select processing. And you can create order statuses for any state that you want. If you have different order statuses for a completed order, for one that's pending payment, for new orders, for you can basically change. You can add statuses to any of these order states. But for this particular test, we're going to do processing. We're not going to set this order status as the default. What that means is that when an order comes into processing, meaning that the order's been placed and the payment has been successfully created on the invoice, it goes into the processing state automatically at that point. So we don't want it to go to the sent to warehouse status by default. We want it to go to processing first, and then when we're ready, we will manually change it to sent to warehouse. So I'm going to save that status assignment. Now you can see in the list here that the second one is sent to warehouse, and over in the status code it is set to processing. Default status is no. So now to use this status, what we'll do is we'll go to sales orders, and I have an order in processing here. I'm just going to click on that test order. Once you go into the order, if you scroll down to the bottom here, there is in the comments history box a status drop down. Now that we've created this status and assigned it to the processing state, since this order is in processing, I can change this to sent to warehouse when I'm ready to do so. And then of course I have the option to enter a comment. I can choose to select notify customer by email if I want to notify them that the order status has changed to sent to warehouse, and it will also include this comment that it was sent to the warehouse today at 3:50 p.m. If I don't want to notify the customer, if this is just for internal use only, I would leave this box unchecked. Visible on front end also allows the customer to see it. It does not send them an email, but when they log in and they look at their order, they can see a comments history on their order in the front end. And if I check this visible on front end box, this comment and status change will show up on the front end. For this test, I don't want to do that, so I'm just going to change the order. Since this is for internal use, I'm going to change the order to sent to warehouse. I've got my comment there. Now if I click submit comment, you can see that it shows up down here with a timestamp of when that comment was submitted, and it gives the new order status there of sent to warehouse. So if I refresh this order page, I can see at the top that the order status is sent to warehouse. And if I go to the sales order grid, I can also see over here on the right in the status column that this order has been sent to warehouse. So that's it. That is how you create an order status and utilize it.